Alright, now I want you guys to pay attention to something. He is using the History of Trunks movie. History of Trunks movie, as great as it is not canon. Remember that. It is not canon. This is the reason why all throughout this video, he consistently uses this. He repeatedly goes back and refers to it as the anime adaptation. But in actuality, it is a movie/special. It did not happen in the episodes of Dragon Ball Z. It ain't canon. Check this out.
At all, and he only got it when 17 was off guard. But notice the key difference here. 17 alone fights Gohan, 18 is a spectator. This alone gives us a huge amount of power scaling evidence in itself as compared to the TV special. In both the present and future timelines, we have a recurring pattern with the android. 17 and 18 are a deadly duo when they team up, but they usually fight solo and only team up if they absolutely need to. 17 jumped in to help 18 when the other Dragon Team members ambushed her when fighting against Vegeta. 17 jumped in to also help 18 when she was losing to Future Trunks when he came back to the future to kill both androids. And 18 jumped in to help 17 when Gohan started winning against 17 in the amusement park. Trunks directly states that Gohan is winning, and after 18 ambushes Gohan, she remarks to 17 how he wasn't performing well.
Now I want to remind you something. Future Trunks comes back, and his sword strikes are blocked by one finger from a Goku who hasn't started his 3 years of training yet. He's trying very hard to make you forget that the canon adaptation is what was shown in the manga. Future Gohan said that Trunks was going to surpass him in a month or two. This is, of course, before Future Gohan died. Okay? Future Trunks said he went back and faced the androids one more time off screen that wasn't even shown in the manga. And then later on came back to the future to warn him. So basically, this Future Trunks was stronger than Future Gohan. No matter what mental gymnastics you attempt to take us through, we remember that in either case, Future Trunks has surpassed Future Gohan. And he comes back warning us, and his sword strikes are blocked with one finger from that yard rat dressed Goku who hadn't even started the 3 years of training yet. Remember, after the 3 years of training, Vegeta gets out there, and Piccolo, who has been basically living with Goku, who has been training with Goku, states that he believes Vegeta is stronger than Goku. He does. Not because of the heart virus, but yes, I believe he is stronger than Goku. Okay, so even now, after the 3 years of training, whereas Vegeta is essentially even with a version of the androids that Trunks confirms outclasses the versions that he and Future Gohan were fighting. No matter what, it still scales our characters extremely high. Even if you try to get people to pay attention to the non-canon iteration to make it seem like he was stronger, he was still fighting a weaker version of the androids. Okay, and then they packed him up. Also, in the manga, it's also stated that Android 17, like you said earlier, makes it known he hasn't even used 50% of his power yet. Whereas Future Trunks says, in that last fight, I was getting on their ass. He was able to identify the limits of their strength, of their capabilities, and said they were stronger than me, but not that strong. The strength these new androids have is off the charts. Like they were nowhere near as strong as this. The guide also, is consistent with saying that yes, the current androids are stronger than the future androids. So Gohan is still severely placed out of his league after 20 years of training with his muscle growth, with the same muscle growth our Gohan had this entire time. The only thing that changed Gohan's gains, or where Gohan ended up at, was Goku taking him in the room of spirit and time and saying, our entire purpose of being in here is to make you stronger than me. It's not that Gohan outran him. It's not that Goku was intending to run a play, to run a plan, to make his son stronger than himself. I believe we could do this together, and they attempted to. Gohan noticed and said several times in Room of Spirit and Time he was holding Goku back. At one point, Goku even admitted it. Yes, you hold me back for a bit, but who knows? Eventually, you might be able to help me, man. But he was focused on his son. in making his son stronger. So it was something that Goku succeeded in doing. If Goku focuses on you for an entire year in this place of rigorous, then yeah, potentially this could happen. If Goku says, to hell with my own trajectory, I want this for my son. But eventually we have to see what you are capable of. And it doesn't measure up to that much. As you see, where when Goku leaves, Gohan falls back into who he rightfully is. And this is the reason why Busaga Gohan is absolutely no match for Vegeta at all. In fact, base form Goten had him shook with throwing rocks while Gohan was a Super Saiyan. Now that was crazy. Okay, and Kid Trunks kicked Fat Boo further than what Super Saiyan 2 Adult Boo kicked Fat Boo, both of which was a sucker punch. Still, now, let's get back down to the androids and talking about how this is definitive proof of what Gohan's muscle gains are actually worth and actually capable of. And if you tell me, oh, well, he didn't have Goku, he shouldn't need it. He shouldn't need that for a truthful representation of what his muscle growth is. If you tell me he absolutely has to have that to achieve those results, then it's Goku doing what Goku did that he has to have. And that's where the credit would go, not to Gohan's muscle growth. Let's get it.
18 also directly participates in Gohan's last stand, teaming up with 17 when there was no need for her to do so in the manga. She directly tells Gohan that she and 17 are going to go all out and will make sure they kill him this time so he doesn't escape again. Now, as a side note, we should also mention that they also team up against future Trunks when he loses to them as well. But this is where the power scaling gets even more complicated when we add Trunks to the picture.
Here you go. This is where you want to complicate it because you don't like the fact. And this is where I notice we ain't paying attention to the manga at all. He continues to talk about the anime and differentiating it from what happened in the manga and saying, but in the anime, you mean in the non-canon movie, not in the anime. This is like people who talk about things that was said about Kid Buu in the anime, things that was said in the manga, but the manga actually supports Kid Buu being the strongest as well. People just try to make it different. Oh, well, in the anime, but this is not in the anime. This is a movie adaptation, okay? And what you see in the manga is clearly not in what, it's no longer in his focus. What's up with that, Qaaman? It's no longer in your focus to talk about what actually happened anymore.
As in the manga, none of the 3 battles that were shown in the history of Trunks were shown at all, including the fight where Gohan lost his arm, when Gohan died, and Trunks' failed attempt at revenge.
Doesn't matter. What we know is that Gohan lost his arm before 17 ever revealed that he hadn't been using half of his strength. So Gohan lost his arm to a 17 that wasn't even using half of his strength. That's also a feat. You don't lose your arm, okay, just because you felt like it. Check this out, though.
See if Trunks fought 2 androids, but when we look at the manga, Trunks talks about them in a plural sense, suggesting that it was both and not just 17. But you also have to understand that this was also partially a retcon as well, because when Trunks originally traveled to the past, he mentions how androids 19 and 20 destroyed his future, which numerically matches android 19 and android 20, who was also Dr. Gero. But you see, what had happened was that Toriyama originally wrote android...
Exactly. But it doesn't matter. What are you talking about? He clarifies he's never seen those androids before. And it was 17 and 18 that he was talking about. So this part right here doesn't matter.
17 and 18 to be the main villains, but totally match manga statements, and this is also what happens when the narrative Toriyama's mindset about the arc when Trunks first showed up and killed Frieza. But despite the fact that Trunks performed much worse than Gohan visually in the history of Trunks, his own power scaling suggests that he may have been somewhat relative to...
Hey, hold on, wait a second. No, he didn't perform worse. Although it was moments where he wasn't hurting them, he didn't lose his arm. Did he? Did he lose his arm? Because that had already happened. And Future Gohan, and this is what we're here to talk about. Not Future Gohan versus Trunks, because Future Gohan already says in the manga, hey, you'll surpass me in a month or 2. Yeah, he said that. So Future Trunks has more potential than Future Gohan, period. There you go. he was stronger than future Gohan. Don't try to use the visuals of how it looked in the non-canon movie special. Bro, shut up. You know what he said. You know what he said, so don't try to scale him up.
Gohan in pure power before he died, but was significantly less skilled as a fighter, even compared to Gohan with a one arm.
No, because you picked that out of the movie in order to state it as a fact. No, because you picked that out of the movie in order to state that. Okay, let's go. And as you said, it seemed as if the only blow that he even landed was thanks to it being a sucker punch. Regardless, we really shouldn't get off track to talk about the movie and argue about the movie. There's a reason why it is stated to be non-canon. Okay, but even in that movie, Gohan lost his arm and had been getting his ass kicked consistently even before Trunks got involved. This is why he had never won any of his fights. Pay attention.
Handicap. Bulma notes this as well, as she says that he doesn't stand a chance against the androids and he's a Super Saiyan like Gohan, but it wasn't enough. Now, of course, Bulma can't sense ki, so you could say she's not a reliable source, but she obviously...
She don't know what she talking about. Because Gohan are... And this is where you kind of fall into the stardom. It would be hard for her to accept that her son got more potential than Gohan because she didn't never think about it like that. Bulma didn't even think that Trunks should be out there fighting the androids at all. She didn't even want him getting out there looking for the androids, going back to that location. And this is in the anime, or excuse me, the movie / special that is non-canon. She didn't even want Trunks going out there looking around after the fact. She wanted him nowhere near the battle. So, of course, she would have this mentality toward Trunks now being stronger than Gohan, being able to do something that Gohan wasn't able to do. She never even wanted him enlisting anywhere near that territory, let alone trying to assume a greater responsibility toward defeating the androids than what Gohan was sacrificing his life toward trying to accomplish. And he failed. Okay? But Gohan himself has made this clear. So her asking that question, do you really think? Yes, I do. Is Gohan himself told me this. And he's not really focusing on that, but that's a part of this.
Said this as a narrative tool by Toriyama to help the viewers understand, or readers understand, that being a Super Saiyan isn't enough in both the anime and the manga.
Yeah, being a Super Saiyan isn't enough, but he's stronger than Gohan. That's a fact. But he played hopscotch to get around it and used Bulma's disbelief that Trunks could win against it. Do you really think that you're stronger than he was back then? Well, if we go back to what Gohan said in confidence in their training, yes, I know I am, because he told me this. But just like Gohan was getting his ass kicked and was getting packed up, Gohan's level of strength ain't nothing compared to those weak-ass androids that was bullying both him and Future Trunks. And even when Future Trunks became stronger than Gohan, which was literally a month or less after Gohan made that statement, and then he went back and fought the other androids again, right? So it seems like Trunks was paying attention and went back and tried his hand again, but still found out being stronger than Gohan wasn't enough. I gotta be way stronger.
Adaptation. Now, Trunks states in the manga and anime after losing to the androids in the present that he could hold his own with them in the future, which visually doesn't add up, and it does show that the...
Visually doesn't add up with what? See what I'm saying? With the non-canon movie? With the non-canon movie? And you want to know what would be nice to actually understand? Even in the non-canon movie, you can't argue against the fact that the androids are just using more power than they used on future Gohan. They turned out to be stronger than they was against future Gohan, but Trunks was able to rear up their limitations in a much greater way. And that's something that you just have a hard time accepting. But Let's go.
Androids were a major threat as a duo, but individually the threat wasn't as bad in the anime. All of this is to say that if the androids gang up on you, it really means something. So rewinding...
Nah, I'm afraid not, because 20 years of attempting to stop them suggests to me that you didn't have any luck in either category. But he's taken us down this long trip through the valley to make this claim that individually, and he used the non-canon movie to do so. By the end of this, he hopes that you'll retain one of his, fuckboy ideologies that he whipped up real quick using the non-canon movie visuals in comparison to. This is how desperate people are to, void out the irrefutable truth, which is that future Gohan is weaker than future Trunks. Future Trunks is stronger than future Gohan. The androids in the future are weaklings compared to the ones in our current time. And let's go.
Back to Gohan, we have two androids going all out against Gohan, which definitely helps increase his power scaling in this scenario. But
that didn't happen. It didn't happen. What do you... And as soon as the androids was like, okay, he goes down. Gohan amounted to nothing. It still simulates exactly what happened in the manga, in all honesty. As soon as they gave each other one look and destroyed Gohan. And he wasn't working with neither of them, to be honest. He had a little minimal stand. Yeah. But those androids are so weak that, in all honesty, what are we saying here? You're doing a whole lot of comparing him to Future Trunks, which it's already confirmed by the manga that Future Trunks was stronger than he was and had more potential than he was. Like, he was stronger than Gohan when he came back. So we already understand that. What we're focusing on is the fact that 20 years of Gohan training, and you focused on, like I said, for 3 years, hey, they didn't know that the androids were coming in that time. Well, guess what? Once the androids were there, you knew they were there the whole time, and that didn't change shit.
Oh my god, thank you so much for being such a great fan. Oh, damn.
Put your face down, Shogun!
Damn. Don't put your feet down.
Go ahead and get him!
You're gonna whoop my ass.
Don't let him out! Don't let him out!
Oh my god.
This podcast is brought to you by Dragon Lab TV Entertainment. Please enjoy yourself. You bitch dog! Shogun!
Damn.